do, as vessels for principle, as the most human way of passing on what cannot simply be instructed. He would arrive at the most high-stakes meeting, settle into his chair, and look around the room with those thoughtful eyes and begin. Somehow every story landed where it was needed. But Professor was also a man who laughed. He loved laughter and happiness, and friends will testify that he always had a quick-witted joke ready to give out. His colleague Salome Eyangen, who he fondly called Salome wa Turkana, recalled recently that Professor had an uncanny ability to find pockets of joy in every situation. Even in the most serious moments, his calm smile would soften the room and remind us all not to take ourselves too seriously. At the airport, on one return journey from Malaga in Spain, he had a business class lounge access during the layover, and a colleague didn't. He declined the invitation and waited with her. When she asked him why, he said, "We came on this trip together. We should stay together." Professor Munavu and his wife, Mrs. Salome Ndinda Munavu, partnered strongly together for an enduring, loving 47-year marriage. Around Westlands, here in Nairobi, they were known to be inseparable. They literally walked through life side by side, sharing joys, burdens, and hard-earned gains. He was devoted to her, not in a showy way, but in the quiet, steady way of a man who had found one partner and never looked back. She preceded him in death in 2021, taken by a very sudden cardiac arrest. He bore that loss with the same dignity that he had brought to everything else, steadily and without collapse. But those close to him knew the quiet weight he carried from that day forward. He was also preceded in death by his youngest son, our brother, Dr. Michael Mutemi Munavu, who passed away in Addis in 2022. To lose a child is a grief that sits differently from all others. Mzee carried that too, with a dignity that those around him found humbling and sustaining. As his sons, we do have our grief as well, not for the loss of a great national figure, but for those small everyday moments that made him our dad. We miss that familiar call, that WhatsApp message lighting the screen with encouragement, and the comfort of knowing that his voice was just a ring away. My brother and I visited him just this December. He was still full of his signature vitality and walked us through everything that he and our mother had spent a lifetime building. The three of us spent time at Mutemi and Mama's resting places, where he pointed out where he wanted to finally rest. He was at peace with it. There was no fear in him, only the clarity of a man who had lived well and knew it. We pledged to honor the life and work of both him and our mother, to protect and cherish everything they earned, and to ensure that their legacy stands strong for generations to come. Near the end of his life, the professor urged retired academics to continue contributing to the nation. It wasn't so much advice as an autobiography. He did not waste a single year of his knowledge or his experience. He gave it all away steadily and without fanfare for more than half a century. Kenya stands more educated, more scientifically literate, more technologically ambitious because of the nearly 80 years that the professor walked this earth. In lecture halls, policy rooms, and reform committees, his absence will be felt, not just as the loss of a scholar, but as the fading of a generation that built the scaffolding upon which Kenya's future still stands. As his sons, we promise to honor his memory by living the way that he did live, with dignity, humility, and a commitment to lifting others through knowledge and service. The real tribute to him is not just the words we speak today, but the lives we choose to live in the spirit of the man we called Mzee. Pumzika kwa amani, Professor. The work was well done. Tutakukumbuka daima. Thank you.
And then we go to have a tribute from Mutua Munavu.
Thank you all for being here. There are men who build structures, and there are men who build worlds. Mzee was the latter. He was not someone who did things alone. That was never his style. He was always reaching out, always asking who else should be at the table, always finding the right collaboration that made things bigger than what any one person could do. He built with concrete and steel, yes, but more than that, he built with relationships and trust. If you knew him, he probably introduced you to someone. He believed in education in a way that was personal. He had seen what it did for him in his own life, and that stayed with him. He carried a quiet fire from marginalized communities, a belief that talent and potential were everywhere, but opportunity was not. He wanted to change that. He loved his family fiercely. He loved this country fiercely. He loved trees, genuinely loved them. He understood that things worth having take time to grow, need tending, and are meant to outlast us. In his last days at the hospital, he kept telling us to be bold. Not goodbye, not take care of yourselves, be bold. Even then, he was still pushing us forward. It was so like him. That is what he leaves behind, roots deep enough to hold, and a voice in our ears that will not let us settle for anything less than our full courage. I will miss him every day, but I hear him clearly. We will be bold.
We thank the family of Professor Munavu for that set of tributes. And now we go to the next set of tributes, and that will be majorly the academia led by the University of Nairobi. May I then call upon the following, the chairman of the Department of Chemistry, followed by the Dean of the Faculty of Technology, of Science and Technology, to make very brief remarks, 1 minute each.
Thank you, Professor. Good afternoon, I think. I'll read the tribute from the Department of Chemistry, the second family Professor Munavu lived through for 50 years. I may extend by a minute, please, Professor, if you allow me, but I'll try to read very fast. This is a tribute from the Department of Chemistry, and I read it as the current chairman. Emeritus Professor Raphael Munavu, BA, MSc, PhD, Doctor of Letters, Doctor of Science, Fellow of Kenya National Academy of Sciences, Fellow of African Academy of Sciences, Order of the Golden Warrior, Elder of the Burning Spear. Why I read this is because, as you've heard, Professor Munavu traveled or lived a very humble life, and some of these accolades were not evident in him. Today we come together to honor and celebrate the extraordinary life contributions of one of the most decorated and humble colleagues, Professor Raphael Munavu, whose legacy as a scientist, educator, leader, and mentor will continue to inspire future generations. Professor Munavu was not only a renowned scholar, but a tireless advocate for education, research, and national development in Kenya and beyond. Professor Munavu's journey into the world of academia and research began long before he became a household name in Kenya, as we all know. He joined the Department of Chemistry, University of Nairobi, as a lecturer in 1976, rose through the ranks to professor in 1995. He served the university until his demise, that spanning 5 decades of teaching, research, and advance of education. Throughout his career, he worked diligently to make science, technology, and education accessible and exciting to students, nurturing a generation of scientists, researchers, and leaders in various fields. Professor Munavu retired from active teaching and research at the Department of Chemistry in 2019, and in recognition of his lifelong contribution to science and academia, was designated to Professor Emeritus at the university. This honor, given to only a select few, underscored his dedication and lifelong commitment to the advancement of education in Kenya. Even after stepping back from full-time duties, Professor Munavu continued to mentor and guide students, imparting his vast knowledge and experience to the generation of scholars. He was instrumental in establishing linkages with industry to the university. As proof of his passion and commitment to science, technology, and indigenous knowledge, and in contribution towards University of Nairobi's excellency, Professor Munavu's appointment as chairman of Konza Technopolis Development Authority formed a collaboration between the authority and the departments of biology and chemistry at the Faculty of Science and Technology in a project to establish an ethnobotanical garden at Konza. This multi-billion project proposes to not only onboard indigenous knowledge in all fronts, but strives to improve green chemistry and science in its applications. Just last week, the committee that he formed was to report to Professor Munavu on its progress of the key projects of water and wastewater treatment, green kinetic energy, that is electricity generation, and water concentration from atmosphere that are about to be implemented at Konza and at the University of Nairobi. In addition, Professor Munavu linked the departments of chemistry and mechanical engineering to the small, micro, and medium enterprises State Department that is spearheading the Presidential Food Safety Program for sustainable oil production. He donated a prototype oil pressing machine to our department to not only fabricate 200 units that are more efficient to be distributed to various small towns and villages of use across the country. This is in view of boosting sustainable quality sunflower and safflower oil production, which was very passionate to him. This is a project that will have a major impact on health and financial status of communities in the country. Professor Munavu was also instrumental in the infrastructure development in the Department of Chemistry at the University of Nairobi, where he mobilized resources from donors to the ongoing rooftop rehabilitation project at the department. The upcoming process chemistry program that he spearheaded in establishing that embodies indigenous knowledge, green chemistry, nanotechnology, among other emerging technologies in the Department of Chemistry, have a salient footprint of Professor Munavu's appetite, peacekeeping, and being ahead of the pack with science concepts and discoveries. Professor Munavu's lasting legacy lies not just in the institutions he helped to shape, the policies he implemented, all the awards and titles he garnered, but also in the people he mentored, the students he taught, and the colleagues he inspired. As a Professor Emeritus, he continued to touch lives until his passing on and remained an active and beloved figure at the University of Nairobi and in the academic community at large. As we honor his memory, let us carry forward the values he instilled in us: curiosity, integrity, and relentless pursuit of knowledge and progress. His legacy will forever be etched in the hearts of his students, his colleagues, and all those who had the privilege of interacting and working alongside him. I, being privileged to have been his student, colleague, and chairman of the department, have benefited a lot and experienced his vibrancy and networks across the landscape. He has indeed left a big gap, but we shall emulate his great wisdom, humor, charisma, and diligence to navigate the academic journey. Without him, we will surely miss him. Rest in peace, Professor Raphael Munavu. Your work lives on in every life you touched, every institution you built, and every policy you shaped. This is from the Department of Chemistry, read by Professor David Kariuki. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof, for this opportunity. I think Prof has just ambushed me. I actually did not make a speech. But I want to stand here, I think, on behalf of the Faculty of Science and Technology, where Professor Munavu was the Emeritus Professor in Chemistry. I think on behalf of my faculty, most of the members, I see them here. First of all, I really want to thank you for coming overwhelmingly to send our sincere condolences from all the professors, academic members, support staff, and all the people from the faculty. To the family, we are very sorry for the loss of your father, Pole Sana. To us, Professor was not just a professor. This man was more than a professor. He was a very great teacher, right? Very good teacher of chemistry. He was a father. I think to me, I personally spent a lot of time with him. I remember the time we used to spend at the club. Don't ask us what we are doing there. But I can tell you, I enjoyed his glass of wine where he shared with me. I really loved those moments. He was a very, very good mentor to most of us. I think some of us are now aged. I think we are in our 70s. Some of us are in our 60s. We are young ladies when we came to the university, but sasa miaka pia imeenda, but we have gone through the hands of Professor Munavu. I really want to send our sincere condolences again to the family, and for his soul, namwombea Mungu amweke mahali pema na mpaka tutapokutana tena. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean, and the chair of the department. And now we will go to the university leadership. We will have the Vice Chancellor of the university. Please come forward.
The family of Professor Munavu, the leadership of the St. Paul's Chapel, all the dignitaries here present, members of University Senate, staff and students, good afternoon. God is God, and all the time. I have a great challenge today because I have a 6-page document whose content has already been presented by the family as well as the department. So, Prof, I seek indulgence that I do not repeat. Is that okay? I also seek indulgence that therefore, Prof, we just recognize the individuals from the university community who are present, because I was told that the degree to which you are respected in life may be demonstrated by those who are present at your funeral. I do not have a structure, but allow me to recognize the Chair of Council, Professor Chacha Nagoti Chacha. Allow me to, on behalf of the Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Jisang, also to recognize Professor Ayub Gitau, the Acting DVC Academic Affairs, Professor Leonida Kerubo, Acting DVC RIE. I saw the registrar who keeps us in order. I don't know where he is now, but Mr. Sawe, there you are. Before I come back to Senate, allow me to recognize Vice Chancellor Emeritus Professor Peter Mbidi. I saw Professor Mibei. Professor Mibei. I saw Professor Micheka. Is that Professor Wandiga? Mpigie makofi. A giant in chemistry. I saw Professor Mula. Ama si nani niliona. Watu wa chemistry hao. I saw Professor Ogengo, Julius. Now, there begins to be an issue, so allow me to then move to the members of Senate, so that if I have not mentioned you, it is because I have had the challenge to scan all of us. I saw Professor Maido at the back there, and all the others. So members of the university academic community, please stand up. If you know you are a professor, if you know you are a member of Senate, if you know you're a chair of department, simameni tafadhali. Haya, wapigie makofi. If you know that you studied, you didn't just pass through the university, but you studied at the University of Nairobi, tafadhalini. Alumni wako wapi? Umeona vigogo hapo, wapigie makofi. Remember what I told you? It dignifies you, the individuals that attend. Asanteni sana. Allow me then, MC, on behalf of the university community, the students there, wapige makofi. They sang a beautiful song, and so allow me then to just hand over this to the family, because they will cross-check the details, and then I spare the time. On behalf of the University of Nairobi community, the chairman of council, and all the members of the community, we extend our heartfelt condolences to Professor Munavu's family, friends, colleagues, during this time of great sorrow, and may they find comfort in the cherished memories they hold of him, and may his legacy continue to inspire future generations. We pray for peace and strength for all of us as we mourn his passing and celebrate a life extraordinarily well lived. May Professor Munavu's soul rest in eternal peace. Professor Hutchinson Gisang, Acting Vice Chancellor, University of Nairobi. Asante sana.
And then we now go to another set, and if I may use the word caliber of tributes. I call upon Professor Nyaigoti Chacha, or Chacha Nyaigoti Chacha, to come here in minimum two capacities. He has many others. He's the chair of the University of Nairobi Council, and also a friend, compatriot, and a work partner of Professor Munavu. Welcome, sir.
Asante sana. I am deeply touched by this event now, but let me start by saying that this is what it means to be born and to live. Because when you're born, the destiny is already established. The family of my great brother, Professor Raphael Munavu, the family of the University of Nairobi, where Professor Munavu spent a lot of his energy and years, always mingling, providing leadership. This is a great loss for all of us. On behalf of the University of Nairobi Council, I say poleni sana familia. But indeed, poleni sana all of us in the University of Nairobi. Raphael was a very extraordinary individual. Those of us who have interacted with him in the course of his life in this world can attest to the gentleman who is lying there, a man who wore so many hats. I will start by acknowledging the fact that my brother Raphael was a very dedicated family man. And you have seen the people whom he has brought to the world, together with his late spouse Salome, both of whom I knew much earlier when I was doing my master's degree at the University of Nairobi. Later on, I came to learn that he had been in a university in USA together with a villager from my place, whom we cherished as one of the first Korea people to venture into America to seek knowledge. That gentleman, the late Gabriel Nyeshoa, is also late, so I believe Prof. Munavu has already found solace and company in that great person who was great friend of Raphael during their undergraduate years in America. Raphael and I, together with a number of other individuals, including my brother Musyoka, who is here, we actually are known for having grown this sector called the university in this country. I was privileged and honored to take over the principalhood or a principalship of Laikipia Campus College, which now is Laikipia University, from Raphael. So he was the first principal, and I was the second principal. When I took over, he mutated to being the DVC Finance and Administration of Egerton University. And together, we struggled to put things in order for those students who had started their academic studies in Naivasha at the NYS College to feel that they were indeed university students. He encouraged me. He worked with me. He was always there. Whenever I had challenges, I would go and sit in his office at Njoro, and we discuss on how to manage that transformation. Many other colleagues of ours went through this. Individuals who started the JKU Art, others like Irina, who started the Chekwaelel, later to University of Eldoret, the late Ochieng at Maseno, later on Fred Onyango, great men and women who spearheaded the growth and development of higher education in this country. We worked hard. We worked hard with this team, Raphael, Musyoka, and the others, always looking forward to contributing our knowledge that we had gathered from various places, including America. We built the university system. Raphael built the university system. He worked in a number of universities. Being a professor of chemistry from the University of Nairobi, as I have already mentioned, he went to start Laikipia. He served as a DVC, Finance and Administration at Egerton. He later moved again from the university here to go and be the VC of Moi University. When he was the VC of Moi University, Musyoka was at JKU Art. They brought me on board again in the region. I served with them diligently. when I was appointed Executive Secretary of the Inter-University Council for East Africa. He chaired my committee's meeting. He was dedicated. We traveled across the world looking for how the university education can grow, and always trusted this team of individuals from the region, people like Professor Luhanga of the University of Dar es Salaam, Wakabamba from Rwanda, and many others, the Kunyas, who was also a fellow chemist. All these individuals, we sat together around bonfires, sometimes taking the red wine dry. Micheka would attest to this, how some of our sleepless nights would be cheered by this great man who is laying here, because he was very humorous, as some of you will attest. He was very friendly. He was knowledgeable. He knew his subject, chemistry, but he also knew higher education field in the region, in the world, and he contributed immensely to this development. As you know, when time came, he was appointed the chair of the Presidential Working Party. And I think my last punch, while I'm still having this space, is that, Raphael, you did your job. It is our responsibility now here, those of us who are in this room, together with all Kenyans and East Africans, to look at that report and start from implementing it, because it was a milestone. And thank you for having spearheaded that. I hope that you are already dancing with Fred Ngao Onyango, with whom you always laughed and enjoyed life. Farewell. Rest in peace, our great professor, my elder brother. Enjoy life where you have gone, for I know you are in safe company. And those of us who are remained behind, we should just prepare ourselves, for this is not avoidable. It is a destiny that awaits everybody in this room. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Professor Chacha, Chair of the University of Nairobi Council. They were building, they continue to build university systems for our country and beyond. May I indicate that we have national leaders here, and they will be recognized very soon in another set of tributes. But for now, let me recognize some other leaders of universities, starting with Professor Francis Aduo. Professor Francis Aduo. Professor Shem Wandiga, he was mentioned a little earlier. Professor Richard Mibei. Professor Paul Wainaina. Professor Geoffrey Muluvi. All these have been vice chancellors of various universities. They were behind the builders of university systems, although sometimes they were given some spanners as well. Thank you very much, and if there is any other vice chancellor, former vice chancellor, or even current vice chancellor that we have not recognized, we honor you, we respect you immensely. And finally, in this set of tributes, I'll call one person whose name has been mentioned severally to very, very briefly, Professor Micheka, represent the academia, and then we end this sector.
the clergy, Your Excellencies, Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, the family. Actually, I also have a written speech of about 200 words, thereabout. But I think in view of what my older brother, the chair of University Council, has said, I'll just close this and just talk momentarily, 2-3 minutes, off-head. Family, you have heard details of Mzee. And him, Church and myself were occasionally referred to as the Three Musketeers. In fact, we used to be fairly troublesome, and Irina was part of it, but he was a bit shy to contribute to harsh debates. So really we are losing a gentleman. We now have two very commonly in Nairobi. Irina is in Mombasa, and I wish really to extend all those former vice chancellors, former chancellors, and even the present ones, their condolences. I stand here on behalf really of all the academia, scholars of Kenya plus outside, those who may have known Professor Munavu in the region, to just say, Pole. Prof was a member of the Academy, Kenya National Academy of Sciences, fellow of the African Academy of Sciences, Network of African Science within the continent, and also internationally. I'll just say two things that make me really, I will miss many, many things, but there are two that I shall remember to tell to you. One, in the long hours of sitting, either in Koroga or in It's About Time or Asmara, Prof would get to me and say, now Ratemu, let's talk big business. And he will tell me, Prof, traditional and indigenous knowledge, and I know you come from Mabagusi group, Zealand. They used to do what is called operational the skull, and actually heal people years back, and now they have left it because of the new technology. Could you, Ratemu, tell me details of how they did it, the herbs they used to stop blood leakage, and how those people healed the whole? I happened to have known about 80% of the procedures, and I would actually go through it systematically. Then he would say, you know, our Constitution, very few first pages, those of you who don't read it as much as I do perhaps, starts with really indigenous traditional knowledge of this country must, by any means necessary, like Malcolm X used to say, be preserved, continuously so. So Munavu would say, Micheka, go think about it. If you can't remember now, it's too late, go write. And I told him, I shall act your document. Then I call him, Muatine, Sasa unasemaje, who told you that name? Then I tell him, Prof, Muatine, I went to Mbilini, his home area, and I got the actual name. So really, colleagues, senior people, staff, students, I just wish you well. Bring the condolences of all the scholars, Kenya, outside the region and the world, and really hope the family will withstand the loss. I'd like to stop here and really thank all of you for giving this opportunity to speak on behalf of those who may not have come to speak. MC, I thank you, and I've kept your 2 minutes, sir.
Okay, I need to bow now and leave this podium as I respect all our leaders here, excellencies. I am going to hand you over to one Professor Emmanuel Mutisia to take us through the next 25-30 minutes or so, and then we start closing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Mbithi, for taking us through the first session of this tributes program. To the family of Professor Raphael Munavu, Pole sana. To the rest of us, we are going to go very quickly. Most of us will not be given an opportunity to speak. But let me start by acknowledging the presence of His Excellency Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, who is here with us and who is going to close the tribute session of this part of the program. You know very well that Professor Munavu had several homes, and the last home that he served as a public officer of this great nation was the Konza Technopolis Development Authority. I know the Konza team is here, the management as well as the board of directors. I would like to give Konza an opportunity to pass the message of condolences. The written ones, as we said, we are not going to read them today because I know you'll be in Mbilini on Friday. Please keep that message so that we can read it to the rest of the people. So, Kotida, please, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. To the family of our chairman, Professor Munavu, to the church led by the presiding priest, our leaders present, led by His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, the academia, fellow mourners. God is good. And all the time? Thank you. As I stand before you today to celebrate the life of our chairman, Professor Raphael Munavu, please allow me to acknowledge the presence of Kotna staff and also our board who last served with him. So, Konza staff, please rise up to be acknowledged. Okay. Then our board, our board members, please rise up. So, thank you very much. So mine will be brief because Professor taught us to be brief. Today we are gathered here to celebrate the life of a distinguished professor and the life of a distinguished leader. As has been mentioned, Konza was the last duty station where he served as a leader and also as a distinguished professor. And in Konza, we focus on innovation. And Chairman was very passionate about innovation, research, and development. And true to his word, that is what he did in Konza Technopolis. As staff and board members of Konza, we have really lost a great leader because he brought us up to be very bold. And as you know, Konza Technopolis is a project that is one of a kind, that is very complex. And Chairman guided us well, and we have been able to deliver most of the milestones that he, as the chairman, led us to deliver. Chairman was very passionate about greening the Technopolis, and as the professor, head of Department of Chemistry at the University of Nairobi has mentioned, he was very passionate about a botanical garden, and currently we are in the progress of developing and establishing a botanical garden. Chairman was also very passionate about establishing an endowment fund, and we can report here that through the support of the board, we have submitted that proposal to the National Treasury for approval, and very soon, as Konza Technopolis, we will be having an endowment fund established in memory of our professor, Chairman. Chairman was also very passionate about indigenous knowledge, and Konza Technopolis recently, 2 weeks ago, Parliament was able to approve our Technopolis bill, and in that bill, there is Konza Technopolis has been mandated to establish a national science museum. And we will be able to establish that in honor of our chairman. Chairman was also very passionate about a global village in Konza Technopolis. And we are currently in the process of ensuring that within our master plan, we establish a global village. He believed that people should always live together, people should always stay together, and we should always respect and conserve our indigenous knowledge and indigenous culture. So that is something that in the master plan of Konza Technopolis, that has been done within his term before he left us. And we will be able to do all this in respect of our chairman. Finally, chairman taught us to be bold in decision making, and that's something that we have grown as Konza Technopolis to live by. With those many words, we pay our respect to our chairman. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Asante sana JP Okwiri for that moving message. On behalf of the board of Konza, I would like to invite one of the board of directors, Director Charles Kalonzo, to just come here and say a word. Just 1 minute. Kalonzo, please.
Praise the Lord. Yes, believe it or not, Chairman knew the Lord. And I'm really touched by our CEO and the tribute he has just given concerning our chairman. When I wrote something on my social media places, one word was certain. The boardroom will never be the same again without Professor Munavu. This is a man that probably, if I may, and I'm not saying that to demean any other man here, but it's a unique man. A unique man because in the boardroom sometimes, as we all may know, it gets very heated. And Konza Technopolis is no mean feat for this country and this continent, and therefore certain things would come before the board. And I have never seen a man of such a high humility like Professor Munavu, a man who allows everyone to be heard. I got the privilege to sit in boards where many of the men here have also been my bosses. My last board, Professor Chacha Nyegoti Chacha was my chair at the Kenya Institute of Mass Communication. And Professor Musheka, who also spoke here, was my vice chancellor. But this man sleeping here is a man I'll remember for the rest of my life, and a man who really touched the rest of us as board members in very, very, very different ways. And especially for me as a young man, I learned so much how to lead, how to allow the voices of others, albeit different. And therefore, to Sudi and the Fidelis and the young man here and the rest of the family, we know how you are feeling. If those of us who are a little bit distant can feel what we feel. I know how you're feeling, but this is a man who lived his life well. And like they say in other quarters, if you live well, even once is enough. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Director Kalonzo. Allow me to acknowledge some of the groups that I know are represented here, and those ones who have been crucial in supporting the planning process. We have the Ukambani Council of Elders. I know I've seen some of them here, including Mr. David Lloyd Masika. We have Mangu Old Boys. Thank you, Mr. David Masika. We have Mangu Old Boys who have supported us a lot. We do have African Academy of Sciences. I don't know whether Dr. Mutuo is around and the team. We do have Kenya National Academy of Sciences, which is represented by the President, Professor Musyoka. We have the Commission for Revenue Authority, where Professor Munavu was a commissioner, and I know Mr. George, the CEO, is here. Thank you very much, CEO. We do have NACOSTI, the National Commission for Science, Technology, and Innovation. They came yesterday. They said that they will be here today. Yes, thank you very much. We have universities that Professor Munavu served, in addition to the University of Nairobi. I know Professor Mbithi did acknowledge the former and current Vice Chancellors, but we do have Southeastern Kenya University, where he played a founding role. We have Laikipia University. We have Moi University. We have Egerton University. We also have, from the government side, the Council of Economic Advisors. I know the team is here. I saw the chair, Dr. David Ndi. We have the Kenya National Examination Council. We do have the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms. We have the Southeastern Region National Government Leadership. We have the Ministry of IC and the Digital Economy, which is represented here on behalf of our CS, Honorable William Kabogo, and we have the Minister of Education. We have many others. Please, you are all very important. We'll be, acknowledging you as we move forward. Now, allow me to acknowledge the CEOs and the Director Generals of parastatos who are present here today from the national government. So can you be upstanding, please? Thank you very much. I didn't see who is at the back there, but I see Professor Andala from the National Research Fund. Of course, we have Konza Technopolis, JP Okwiri. I don't know whether that was commissioned for university education. Yeah, that is Professor Albanas Mutwiwa, who is the Deputy CEO and representing the CEO of the Commission for University Education. We'll get a few more people from the government. I don't know whether Dr. David D is around. Please, Dr. David D, you can come forward and say a few remarks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, family, friends, the academy, government officials here, citizens, fellow owners. This is a difficult time for all of us. It's very difficult. Let me just pass condolences to the family. I mean, it is not easy to imagine, those of us who only knew Professor as friends, how it is to have lost him as a family. But such, as somebody said, is the fate of all of us. It's a journey that we must all go. I did not know Professor for as long as many of you. I only have known him for, I think, 4 years. But it was very, very eventful relationship, which is probably not known to, only known to very few people, starting with His Excellency the President. Because when His Excellency the President reached out to me a couple of years when he was going to run for president, he was going to run for president and asked, he wanted me to join his team. He mentioned several names of the people he thought should be in the team. I said, I know of Professor Munavu, he mentioned him, but we never quite interacted because I was a main campus student and he was a Chirombo professor those days. But the long and short of it, we had a conversation, we agreed that he was going to be our chairperson. And some of the members of the team are also the professors and other people. I won't go into details. So for 3 years, we met every Saturday morning, hosted by Chairman Mudama. Every morning, every Saturday morning for 3 years. And charted the course that led to current president being elected. I don't think many people here know that side of Professor Munavu, of being part of political strategy, and it just shows you how versatile a person. And those kind of, someone talked about boards, but political war rooms, as we call them, is a different animal altogether. The conversations that go on there, the sort of challenges of dealing with a very dynamic world. But all the time, Professor chaired us. He's an amazing person in terms of bringing people with different minds to a sense of purpose and sort of being able to navigate complexity, which I suppose as a professor of chemistry comes with the territory. You know, complexity is, and that's why I concluded, he has dealt with complexity so much that it was just something he took in his stride. In the course of that work, and once we began developing policy, of course it was natural that he would lead our work on education. And as we started working on education and he convened that group, we came to the realization that the challenge of taking on the education sector where it was at the time was so big that we probably would not be able to pronounce ourselves on it at the time, and we put it on the back burner and said, if we don't win, we will have to create a process of beginning to sort of get the country to come to grip with the challenge of education that we were going to be facing. It was only natural that when that happened, that it was Professor Munavu who would then go on, and that's how he got to lead the working party. So again, we got to work in the background. Given the nature of that particular challenge, the calmness, the ability to again bring an even bigger group, and it's very diverse, people in education, from labor, from teachers to policy, all those stakeholders, and to be able to come up with, again, what has been stated is really a path-breaking and consequential, probably, document in terms of organizing and education in this country that we are likely to see for a long time. So, as I said, we did not know Professor for as long as many people in this room, but I believe that interaction was one where I was able to draw on the depth and the wisdom and the compassion and the sense of humor when it mattered, when you needed it. And we developed that relationship as we were steering that whole enterprise. We continued to reflect on it after the fact, and we would sit down, a glass of red wine, and ask ourselves, did we really do that? Because when it's behind you, you reflect on it and say, you know, that was something sort of different. So I want to pass the consolidates of all our teams. We've been talking. I mean, this is somebody we expected to continue to reminiscence on that experience for a long time. We will not be able to do that. We will miss him greatly. We are eternally grateful. I personally, I cannot possibly express how grateful I am and how privileged I feel that even not having had the long experience that we spent that time, and will be able to cherish those memories for the rest of my life. So, good people, family, friends, pray for you, wish you peace, calm, tranquility, in the knowledge that Professor Munavu, as somebody said, he lived as probably we should all live, as close as probably we can say that any human being should live, and that those memories and that inspiration will continue to serve us and guide us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ndi. Let me acknowledge very quickly the chairpersons of parastatus and the chairperson of university councils who are present today. You may be upstanding. Thank you very much. We have Mr. Patrick Bangula, who is the chair of Water Institute of Kenya. Then we have Professor Adiga. We have Professor Kanya, University Council Chair. And we have Mr. Jerry Simo, who is the chairperson of the affordable housing. Asante sana. Now, thank you very much. Fortunately, I remember most of them. And now allow me to recognize the leaders, the political leaders present. I have seen Senator Dan Manzo, Makueni County. And then we had Honorable Patrick, our MP from Macau from Mavoko, and a commissioner of PSC. Thank you very much. Allow me to recognize our former senator, our leader in the community, Senator David Musila, who is here with us today. Asante sana. Allow me to also recognize the chair of the planning committee, a close friend of Professor Munavu, architect Dr. Ruben Mutiso. Asante sana. I would like now to invite Commissioner Senator Mudhama to make a few remarks, and then I will invite His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka.
I want to take over, please.
Please, thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Father. Because you may also have forgotten some of the others seated here. Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for that session. So there are also members of parliament, other members of parliament, present and past, who have served this country. I wouldn't want to miss my former MP, Mr. Patrick Kariuki Moiruri. I saw him. Thank you very much. We had agreed I'm going to do this protocol. Thank you. Honorable Dan Maanzo is present here. Thank you very much. Senator Makueni, Honorable Patrick Makau, MP Mavoko, and also Commissioner PSC. All right, he may have stepped out. And then we have Honorable David Musila, former Senator Kitui. Thank you very much. These are the type of leaders I'm saying. I read your book, and thank you very much for good memoirs. Honorable Johnson Mudhama, present. Thank you very much. Honorable Mudhama, and all other leaders, and finally, His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, the 10th Vice President of the Republic of Kenya and party leader of the Wiper Patriotic Party. I don't know, I had that protocol, is that so? Yeah, now, in all prudence and good sense, we are here because of a very good leader. And I am not going to do what is outside of my mandate, but I want to ask Honorable Johnson Muthama to come and call upon the former Vice President. And please, because I'm instructed, let us talk about only our dear professor. Today was a University of Nairobi affair. Is that okay? So that I'm also not crucified, isn't it? Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prof. I'm sorry for, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Father, for providing leadership and guidelines. I know we are feared because sometimes we also go overboard and do things which are not necessary. But I stand here now to offer my condolences to the nuclear family of my late brother and the many friends who have come to condole with the family. There are many things which have been said here, and I don't want to repeat myself. But I want to say just two things which David, indeed one of them, attempted to say, but I felt he did not finish it properly. Late Professor Munavu, in 2010, Kenya needed commissioners of the revenue allocation. And the job was advertised. And that time I was the chief whip of the government of President Mwai Kibaki, where His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka was the vice president. Professor applied for that job. And the rumors within Parliament was that the people required there are CPAs. And this is an educationist who has applied for this job. How is it going to work out? And my persuades was, from what and the way I knew him, the man was capable for the job. When the interviews were called, Professor late Munavu scored 92.5%. His closest number 2 had 78%. His performance was beyond expectations. Secondly, I worked with him when I chaired the National Campaign Committee of President Ruto, as Dee mentioned it briefly. In that national committee, it had 2 subcommittees. One was Politburo, that was about politics. And the other one was Technical Advisory Committee. That committee was chaired by Professor Munavu. And I want to tell you, my success as the chair was because of the advice and the support that I got from this man in that casket. We went to win the elections, and I stopped there and say this. In all leadership where Professor was involved, he served the country, Kenya. This man, in all those institutions he has been, he has never been mentioned close, forget about being involved, but close to corruption. He served people, not individuals. My success in very many undertakings, including politics, my principal number 1, whom I will consult in every decision I'm making, was late Professor Munavu. And I want to say, I've never gone wrong. He guided me well, and I succeeded in every attempt I made. So because God has taken his life, and he himself, and Father, I want to mention this, he was never scared about death, Professor. I remember when Mulu Mutisia passed on, and we were consulting now after losing a great leader in Ukambani, with his smiling face, because when he wanted to drive a very strong point, Professor would never show a stone face, but he would do it smiling. And he told me, "Mwana aya, tuitikile okendo kemwe, mwandu hemaukwa." To me, he meant he was not scared about death. When I went to see him in the hospital with Mutua, after I got the news that he was sick, Mutua told him, "Senator Mudhama is here." He did 3 things. He tried to sit down, but he could not manage. He tried to speak, but he could not manage. He tried to smile, and that one came out. Professor, go well. God bless you. We'll meet again. Thank you very much. Please come and speak to the mourners.
Wow, we were taught God is God, and all the time. Well, we, the family of our late brother, Reverend Peter Kaigwa, and the university's community, we have heard a lot about the late Professor Munavu. What comes out clearly is cheerful, humorous, and charismatic. A man who has contributed so much to the advancement of science and education in our country, I now remember Professor Chacha, the Three Musketeers, Professor Michieka. I once was Minister for Education, and I know that the late President Moi would always create a special time at the end of the year ceremonies in Nakuru to a fellowship with the University Vice Chancellors. I don't know whether that practice continues, but I know they would all come out smiling. Professor Munavu, as you have heard, was not just a professor here, but also a community leader. That has been attested to by my brother, Mwaneya Mudhama. And I know the people of Mbilini, people of Kangundo, people of Machakos will be waiting to say kwaheri to one of their elders, men who face difficulty with a big smile. We shall miss Professor Munavu. I have absolutely no problem listening to Professor Ndi, Dr. Ndi, a man who, when I was running for election as a running mate to Raila Odinga, was one of our chief advisors. And Dr. Ndi taught me secession politics. I'm so happy to use David. See David talking nationalistic politics, and that is the country. And I think the biggest tribute we can offer to Professor Munavu is to make sure that Konza Technopolis succeeds. We heard you, we see you. Late President Kibaki and I laid the foundation stone for Konza. Konza is a delayed project. Professor Munavu will do the best we can while God gives us life to make sure that that African Silicon Savannah will succeed for the benefit of future generations with the advancement of science in particular. Now, Reverend Father Peter Kaigwa, when I come to this place, St. Paul's Chapel, I always remember, I'm sure, I don't know whether you remember, the very famous chaplain that time, Professor Ndondas. Church remembers. This great chaplain within the university. You see, we have heard about professors here who have been to, I know my brother, the professor, Vice Chancellor of Moi University, and who did so much to do stuff about hyacinth in Lake Victoria, a great spiritual mentor. And other universities, Kenyatta, even like Laikipia, which Professor was able to mount. But you know, we all grew up in this university called the University of Nairobi, and all of us say the university. Be that such as may. You know, Reverend Father, you said, you asked how many of these university professors had to do with rampaging students. That stuck to my mind. During our time, we never went on rampage. It was the police who always came to the university and carried out riots and did the rampaging. And then we'd all sometimes come running to Professor Dondas and pray, and I used to organize University Sunday worship across here at St. Andrews. This great community, the academia, you have clearly lost one of you who was outstanding. And as I said, I was of course aware of my brother Mudhama Mwaneya, and I knew David Ndi did not know how we knew what was going on. Professor Mutisia, I think you are running mate to Governor Masika. We all know. But in spite of all those complexities, disparities, we had a community leader. How I think during the time out there, people may want to listen to Senator Musila and architect Ruben Mutiso, who was, I think, Professor Munavu took over from Ruben Mutiso, the architects of Konza. We cannot wait to see that success happen in great honor of a man who was so cheerful and one who led with distinction in the area of education. Of course, some of us, and Father, I'm sure you know I'm an opposition leader, we do have issues. I cannot pretend to be who I'm not. We do have issues with the way the university education, the quality of the same, accessibility. Look at Moi University struggling. How many of those other universities are still struggling? We do have issues. But Munavu did his work on CBC. What we do with it, the problems there, cannot be assigned to Professor Munavu because we want them to rest in eternal peace. And we'll continue to make sure the education system in this country will serve future generations well. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Amen.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka.